Hey everybody, Mr. Throop-Voors here. I wanted to go over a couple quick things before you do your math work for this lesson. So I want you to take a look at these three equations. So here we have 5x divided by 6 equals 20. Here is 5 sixths x equals 20. And here is 5x over 6 equals 20. So think about, first of all, how are these equations all alike? And how are these three equations different? So there's some definite similarities here, and there's also some differences. But what I want you to see about all of these is that they are all essentially the same equation. Whichever format makes the most sense to you, they're essentially the same, going to get you to the same solution. So for example, this one, 5x divided by 6, you know that every fraction is simply a division problem. So even though this is 5x over 6, that's the same thing as saying 5x divided by 6 equals 20, which when you look at this is basically the exact same expression as this over here. 5x divided by 6, 5x divided by 6. So 5x over 6 is the same thing as 5x divided by 6. And then of course when we get to this one, don't let this throw you off. This is just 5/6 times x. So even though this is division and this is division, here, even though this is multiplication, there's still some division that's involved there because it's 5 over 6 or 5/6. So you're taking 5/6 of whatever x is, and that should equal to 20. So when we look at this and kind of break this down even further, we can say, well, if this is 5/6 times x, I need to take the inverse fraction of this and multiply it by this. So this inverse fraction would be 6 over 5. So if I take 5/6 x and multiply that by 6 over 5, and then of course I need to do the same thing on this side of the equation. So I need to multiply 20 by 6 over 5 as well. So this of course is going to cancel itself out over here. So 6/5 times 5/6 is essentially going to be 1. And so then over here, I'm just taking 20 times 6/5. Well, that's the same thing as saying 20 times 6, and then taking my answer to that and then dividing by 5. Of course, 20 times 6 I know is 120. And then I need to divide by 5 because that's what this fraction is. Every fraction is a division problem. So then take 120 and divide by 5. I know that 120 divided by 5 is, of course, 24. So then I'm left with, on this side of my expression, on this side of my equation, I'm left with 24. And on this side, the only thing that I have left is this x. So x equals 24. That's how you can solve it this way, but you can also look at them at this equation as this way as well. You can say, well, 5x divided by 6 equals 20. Well, multiply by 6. And that's going to basically cancel that out. And remember, if I do it on that side of the equal sign, I have to multiply this side by 6 as well. And of course, 20 times 6, we're right back to over here, is 120. And so then 5x equals 120. Well, how do I get rid of my 5? Well, it's 5 times x. The inverse of that is to simply divide by 5. So then divide this side by 5. I can write it this way, or I could have wrote it as 120 over 5. So 120 divided by 5, look over here, it's 24, just like what we have. So this is 24. And then I'm left with x over here because the times 5 and divided by 5 cancel itself out. So then x is 24. And I've got the same thing over here. You're just going to solve it really in a very similar way. So that's how you can solve some of these problems. Whichever one of these methods works best for you, that's the one you should use. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you need any help whatsoever on any of these problems, please don't hesitate to email me, reach out to me on PowerSchool Learning. Have a great rest of your day.